Hey everyone, welcome back to the Runaround here on ESPN 1300, brought to you by Halliburton Sports, the only show dedicated to runners and endurance athletes. And if you want great customer service for all of your running needs, check them out at HalliburtonSports.com. Once again, that's Halliburton Sports. This is Greg Jubb here in the booth with my co-hosts Brad Jager and Ryan McGrath. And as we alluded to before the break, we were explaining that if you watch track and field on TV, particularly the 800, you may see someone leading the race, taking the chase pack through, and then after about a lap and a quarter, you see them drop out. And you wonder, why is that person in the lead and then dropping out? It's not necessarily that person's racing, rather, he is setting the pace, commonly known as a rabbit. And joining us live right now is Matt Scherer, the man who makes great 800s happen. He's commonly understood to be the best middle distance pace setter or rabbit in the business, and we at the Runaround can't help but agree. Matt, you're on the Runaround. Thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
No problem. Matt, we just gave a quick overview of what rabbits and pace setters are expected to do. Can you explain to our listeners exactly what you do?
What I do is in any given race, I'll go lead the race for at least a lap, sometimes up to 600 meters. And my job is to hit a particular time at 400 to make sure that the race is set up like the athletes and the meet director wants. And then when my job's done, I can get out of the way and let them finish the race.
And before we continue, you're more than a pace setter. In your career, you've established yourself as the world's sixth fastest 600-meter runner in history for that event. And when did you decide to make the switch to rabbiting? And was it your success as a long sprinter and middle distance runner that prompted that switch?
In college, I was a 400 runner. And then after I graduated from Oregon, I moved up to the 800 and tried that for several years. And during that time, I had a really good 600-meter race against Nick Simmons in '08. And then after the 2010 season, I had to kind of evaluate whether I wanted to keep running or not, because I kind of never quite got over the hump, on the international scene as far as making teams or hitting times that was making me enough money to keep doing it. So it was either retire or rabbit, and I had done two or three pacing jobs before for the Prefontaine Classic, so I had a little bit of an idea of what it was like, and that I was pretty good at it. So I just decided to do that and give it a try.
Hey Matt, this is Brad. Question: How do you learn to pace like that? When they tell you they want a 49-second 400 and you hit 49:04, do you have a little metronome going on in your head that tells you exactly where you need to be?
Pretty much. I mean, just like other athletes that train to do something very specific. That's what I work on when I train as well. Whether I'm training with someone or by myself, I'm always fully aware of how my body feels and what pace I'm going. And then after every interval, I'll check that and kind of throughout the season, I've developed that and gotten more experience with it, and I can kind of feel what pace is what.
I mean, it was really amazing. We watched you at the Diamond League London meet basically a week ago, and you're starting in the outside, and you're so when you get onto that back straightaway, you've got to cross basically 8 lanes of traffic, and it looked like in that instance we were just talking about it. Abu Bakr Kaki was kind of right in your way, not really. He's running alongside you, and it was difficult to get out in front. So it looked like you needed to go a little bit faster. But how are you making those adjustments then, when you hit 200 meters, if you're a little faster, if you're a little slow, because then you hit absolutely spot on through 400. And then, what we said, we love watching as you get to the 500 split, you're still accelerating through, and you're not just pulling off and slowing down. I mean, it's truly amazing. So how do you make those adjustments in race?
Well, seeing a 200 split or 400 split, having the clocks available is definitely a big help. But also just kind of, just feeling where people are, and also knowing how people race. Like I've paced for Kaki several times now, and I know kind of how he races, and same with like Rudisha. I paced earlier this year and knew that how close he was probably going to be to me or something like that. So. I make adjustments based on, I glance back every once in a while and also kind of feel what the pace is. But, it's also much more than just hitting a time. It's doing it in the right way. You can't go out and run. If you need to run an even pace 50 flat, you don't want to go out in 22 or 23. So there's a lot of other variables besides just hitting a 400-meter split.
And at the Adidas Grand Prix, a race that the Runaround covered on the scene, you paced David Rudisha to what was then the world-leading time and the fastest time ever recorded on U.S. soil. He asked, and I was actually there at the press conference the day before, that first 400 be taken out in 49 flat. And you didn't disappoint. You came through, and I think it was about 49.09 or something like that. Mm-hmm. What's it like pacing someone of David Rudisha's caliber where he's so dominant? Now, if you watch that race, and I'm sure you watched that race afterwards, it's you and David really gapping the field already at 400 meters. Do you feel him kind of powering behind you? Describe the emotions going on there as you're running that race with him.
I really treated that as just like any other race, and I think that's what I had to do there. I can't go out and be starstruck, no matter who's on the line with me. I'll leave that for kind of after the race, after I ran a great time. Then I kind of got to take a step back and realize kind of, how special that race was. But during the race, I do my own thing. I try to be aware of where the other runners are and just kind of go from there.
Now, for those of you just tuning in, this is the Runaround. This is Greg Jubb alongside Brad Jager and Ryan McGrath, and we're talking to Matt Scherer, the best mid-distance pace setter and rabbit in the business. He's talking about how he's paced some of the best 800s that we've seen this year. And Brad, you have a question for him.
Yeah, after 400, if you're pacing for an 800 and you're just feeling really good and having a good day, do you feel like just, hey, I'm going to go for this whole 800 and, too bad, guys?
Matt, I think that's the question everyone wants to know. What about that? How about that time you just said, you know what, I'm going for the whole thing? Have you ever had that feeling before?
I've had races where I felt like I could have finished well, and maybe even come close to a PB or something. But this is my job now. It's what I get paid to do. It's what meat promoters hire me to do, and so I just want to go to the job just to ensure that that I get more jobs. If I ever finish one, it'll probably be the last one I ever pace.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they probably wouldn't be too pleased with that. But, looking this year at the success of Kadavis Robinson, he had a similar path where for a number of years it seemed he was doing the same thing, pace setting and rabbiting in big meets, wasn't running too much for his own. And then really he's come back and, obviously made the Olympic team this year. What are your ambitions over the next few seasons? Maybe, do you have intentions of possibly, giving it a go again to race for yourself?
I don't really have any plans to ever really finish a race again. I had my chance. I think, my best chance in '08. I took my shot at, for my career and doing what I could. And I think what makes me a good rabbit is that I'm completely 100% satisfied with what I accomplished during my career. And so I don't have any regrets and any real strong desires to keep competing. And so I'm perfectly content doing the pacing and making that my career now.
Hey, we respect that. But going off that though, you still have to train. You have to stay in very good shape to do that. So as such, do you train differently now, training for events like this that you're rabbiting and setting the pace for? Do you train differently than you did as an 800-meter runner, as a 400-meter runner? Do you train, I guess, basically, is your workout schedule the exact same, or are your intervals different? Tell us about that.
The training is actually very similar to what I did as an 800-meter runner. The only difference is I don't really have the ups and downs, peak cycle training, because I need to be in a very consistent shape around 50 point starting in as early as February, for indoor races and be able to hold that all the way through September. So I don't really get a chance to train to do a lot of the workouts that I really enjoy, which is faster, shorter stuff, more 400 type training. And so I do a lot more of the things that aren't so enjoyable for me. But that's really the only difference. Other than that, it's very similar to my 800-meter training.
So you spend a lot of time really perfecting your craft, and as such, do the athletes you pace extend their appreciation towards you? I mean, you are the best in the business, we'll agree. But after the races, do they say thank you, that first 400 was perfect? Do you ever have any conversations like that?
Yeah, I've gotten quite a lot of positive feedback this year. And in the past, even last year, maybe when I was doing a decent job, you're not always going to get that because, only one person wins a race and everyone wants to win. So not everyone's going to be happy and pat me on the back after each time you go. But I think it's probably a little bit different this year in the Olympic year is that it's not so much about racing as it is in other years. It's about, people are trying to hit their A standards, trying to make their country's Olympic team and stuff like that. So there's a lot of other goals for people in the races, and so I have gotten a lot more positive feedback from the other runners this year.
And that's a great point, Matt. And with that in mind, as an outside observer, how do you think next week's race is going to play out for the Olympics? What, do you care to make any predictions? Do you have any rooting interests here?
Well, I don't know if I can root for anybody in particular. Obviously, I'm American, so I want all 3 Americans to do well. But I've paced, I haven't seen like the start list specifically or anything, but I know I've paced 18 of the top 20 guys in the world this year. And I try to, at least get to know some of them as I see them around the circuit and everything. So I want everyone to do well.
So what do you think of Dwayne Solomon really coming on strong here? Everyone's looked to Nick Symmonds as the perennial American best 800-meter runner, but Dwayne Solomon's coming on strong here. He's already posted the 5th fastest time in American history with that 1:43 that he ran in Monaco. What do you think of him?
He's amazing, and I actually roomed with him during that Monaco race, and it wasn't something that I don't think was thought he couldn't do. It's just that he hadn't done it yet, and I don't think was really quite expecting it there. But he gave him a lot of confidence, to say the least, going into the Olympics. But Nick is always going to be strong, and he just gets stronger with rounds, and the same with KD. And I think that now with Solomon running that time and going into the Olympics on that, I think we have 3 Americans that can make the final.
Hey, now do you think about maybe extending your brand a little bit and maybe trying to go out and pace some 5K road races or some half marathons or something like that? Because I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, boy, I could do this. This might not be a bad idea for me.
Yeah, I get asked that question quite a bit or something similar. And what I tell people is that what I do, like in one particular race, is not hard. Running a 50.5 second 400, there's a lot of people in the world that can do that. But it's the reliability that comes with me doing it, is that I do it, time and time again, over and over again. And so that's one more variable that athletes and meet directors don't have to worry about. And I think that's why my consistency has kind of led to me kind of making a name for myself as a pacer.
And that's exactly it. If they want someone pacing that first lap of an 800, and if it's going to be a 50, they don't want someone sprinting it and running a 23 first 200, then come back with a 27. It's got to be a little more even. You're known to go out in about 24. So you've done it several times, and that's what makes you the best in the business, my friend. Everyone, Matt Scherer, if you want to learn more about him and what he does, go to schererspeed.com. That's SCHERER speed.com, so you can learn more about him. Very interesting site. But Matt, thank you so much for joining us here on the Runaround. Best of luck to you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, take care.
I've always wanted to know, the question that we had to ask was, do you ever want to finish that race? Yeah. I know every one of us wanted to ask it.
Oh yeah, that was an incredible.
He's committed.
It's a business. It's a job. He has a job to do, and this is what his job is. So
maybe we could do that locally. Get paced by the runaround.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not at high school
What
races.
race is Brad going to pace?
Those little kid fun runs that they have before the 5Ks, maybe.
I don't even know about that.
Anyway, coming up, we're going to be talking about some local races and more, so stay tuned to the Runaround.
Hey, I want to talk about 2 new sponsors that we have. One is PostNet of Towson. Whether you need business cards, printing, booklets, flyers, signs, posters, or banners, PostNet Towson offers high-quality graphic design and printing. We are the business behind your business. Call us at 443-PostNet. And also, Hers Potato Chips is now a sponsor of Running Maryland and the Runaround. They gave us a great big step truck that we're going to convert into a Running Maryland party van and have all sorts of cool things on there, flat screen TVs, speakers, some nice graphics on the side, and we'll be selling some gear out of the truck too. So look for that in the near future. Thank you, Hers Potato Chips.
The party van.